Hey guys, it is week 9 of my... That is...
Week 9, mate!
It's bloody week 9. Hey guys, we are back with week 9 of my contest prep fat loss diet. This week was a diet week and we were having 5 low days, 2 higher days.
You done goofed?
I'm not hosting parties anymore, especially when there's like unlimited buffet, platter.
So I think what you really struggle with.
I will remember you.
I'm okay.
I think one of the things you really struggle with is when you don't have defined boundaries.
No, I need boundaries, damn it.
So-
Set me boundaries.
So if you have a meal, you know, you don't struggle as much because you have the meal and then it's done. You're not going to go seek out more food and get it.
No.
But if food is available to you, you have a hard time turning it down.
Get in my belly!
In fact, we talked about this. I feel empowered turning stuff down. You don't feel empowered turning stuff down.
No, not at all.
But it's more about you're not hungry. You just kind of mindlessly eat.
No, I can actually say with great confidence that for the entire time we have been doing this contest prep, I've probably been hungry once.
Middle of the night.
Yeah,
4
in the morning actually, at 5 a.m. or whatever it was I woke up. So I do not get hungry. It is just the temptation is there. I will eat. Like, I have said this so many times. If I had a clone, I would probably be a chef. I would be around food, probably maybe tasting food as a panelist or something.
Be quite corpulent.
I would be greasing doors to get through, let's put it that way. Like, I love food.
I still love you.
Period. Good, I'm glad you still love me, good. I would still love you too.
You're
so,
much smarter than me though, you know. You did still lose 200 grams, so that's the plus side.
I did, and my weight trended down like
Until
all week, until Sunday.
If you had not had, you were at 66.2. If you had not had the kind of screw ups, you might have been low 60s, 66s, or even high 65s.
Yeah, I think
and you would have hit your 800 gram goal for fat loss.
Yeah.
But you didn't, so now we have some real serious catch up to do.
Yes, we do.
So we can't change what happened.
No.
Right? One of the things we talk about is if we can't change what happens, all we can do is control how we respond to it. So I spent the morning reorganizing the pantry so that
yeah,
you
so
have
now
to,
I have to climb Mount Everest if I would like to get to any food. Like,
which also means I have to climb Mount Everest.
And
So
climb over the fridge as well. It's like in the far back, like I literally cannot see into this
see,
cupboard.
it's a really weird thing because some people you kind of go, well, it'd be better if you're both dieting together because then you're both like
Oh,
you're not
it'd be
eating
so much
those.
better.
But that's not necessarily true because then you're both crazy and you're both hungry and you're cranky and you're tired.
No, do I look cranky and angry to you guys? No.
Well, I think also like you've never been around me on prep brain, so I get it too. Remember, I'm the one who usually remembers things and like.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
And so imagine if my brain just went.
Before I forget about this, I do just want to quickly touch on the book Unfuck Your Brain by Dr. Faith Harper. So she has this great book. If you have not feast your eyes on this, you can tell I'm in diet mode. I'm even using cooking and food.
That has nothing to do with the book.
I know.
What are you reading the pages or something? Like
Definitely, I'm like. Anyway, so she basically goes through, there's a number of different regions within our brains. The two that the book particularly focuses on, and it's very relevant to competitions and dieting, is your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex. So your amygdala is basically like your emotional control center, your feelings, your lizard brain, I think is kind of like how you refer to it, right? So it's your primitive brain, the brain that is responsible for fight and flight, and you know, when you start to feel anxiety or depression or any kind of emotion, and then that part of your brain communicates with your prefrontal cortex, and that is kind of your logic, your reasoning brain, and kind of it tells part of your brain to ignore certain things, and then it kind of makes sense of it all. So something that really clicked with me in this particular book is what happens when I start to feel anxious, and this seems to be happening all the time. I don't even know where it came from, but what the primitive part of your brain is doing is trying to get you back to a sense of like feeling grounded and feeling comfortable, right? So you're feeling happy or whatever it is, and what it tries to do is release those hormones, so dopamine and other feel-good emotions, or that are associated with feel-good emotions, to try and get you back to balance, because it doesn't want you to be in that state of fear or worry or whatever it is.
You ain't got time to be worried or anxiety when a lion chasing you.
It's not real, Peter. It's a hallucination.
No, it wants you to frigging do something about it. So in that situation, you run your ass away. But for me, and for many of you, and I'm sure so many of you can relate to this, is to try and get yourself back to this happy place. You do something good for yourself, and the danger zone
Not necessarily good for yourself, something that makes you feel good.
something that makes you feel good, and that is food. Food has that response. So just like
For you.
exercising for me, and probably for many others as well, I get this all the time.
For some people, it's alcohol, for people, it's drugs, some people, it's gambling, some people, it's sex.
Right.
It's, you know, you can have that.
That's exactly
connection
right.
to
There are so
everything.
many things. So one of the most difficult things, and it's something I've worked on for a long time, and it's still going to require a lot of my time, because it's not going to fix itself. You're literally fighting. When you're dieting, you're going against every single thing that your body wants you to do. It's like, you know, it's a good thing that we have these metabolic processes, because they keep us alive, but also when you're trying to diet,
Not good for looking shredded.
no. So rewiring to find something else that makes you feel good. So I kind of wrote down and did some brainstorming and listed off a whole other heap of things that I really love doing. And unfortunately, just the just the change in my lifestyle, location, moving away from friends, a lot of those things that I used to love doing, I haven't had the ability to do. So it's kind of chopped my list in half. But I think, you know, now I'm starting to feel a little bit more settled into USA, and, you know, things are kind of opening themselves up to me now. I have new fun things I can look forward to doing. But like stupid as like writing down a list, like painting my nails, or going for a walk or a bike ride, or doing something, used to be cooking. I can't do that now, so like,
Yeah.
that's a no-go. So I have to kind of rewire so that I'm doing something else, and it takes a lot of effort. So yeah, there's always going to be periods in your life where you need to focus on, you know, it's putting in a bit of extra effort. It's not going to be always easy and smooth sailing. So yeah, I would encourage you guys to write that list if you are struggling with this in your own contest prep.
When you got here, one of the things you said to me a lot was like, this is not normal, this is not normal, this is not normal, things about my life. And then like during this contest prep, I've said to you, yeah, babe, that's really not normal. Like, so we both had kind of our lives set up in abnormal ways,
Yeah.
right? Like you were able to just control every aspect of your life, and you only did
Yeah,
things
I
that you
had a
wanted to
really
do.
rigid contest prep. That's
Yeah.
how I had to
You would just
operate.
literally, you would not have any food in your house other than what you were eating, and you would just go shop for something if you needed it.
Yes. And
So-
also I wasn't sitting in my house all day every day either. So right now, like I'm in my comfortable space. So I think the temptation is even greater. Like if you're going to a place of work, and I've always been quite envious of people that aren't in the fitness industry who are competing, because I feel like to me that'd be wonderful, because I would have an escape where
Let's see, for some people
I don't
that's a
have to
trigger for
be.
them.
Yeah, I mean everybody is so different. So
Now that we've gotten through all that, why don't we've got a game plan in terms of, okay, we're making more barriers to food, and as silly as that sounds, even just putting it up where it's not within reach of you,
yeah.
because then what happens is you eat mindlessly. But if you've got to go get a stool to
Yeah.
stand on it, to then
to
open
go
a cabinet,
ever.
then you won't
I
do
would
it.
even go out to the deep
You won't do
freezer
it.
in our garage, like
Exactly.
it's 20 meters, and I'm not going to do that.
So maybe this is things you guys can do, or even like,
Yes.
I had clients who I've had them put Post-its on things,
Yes.
where they would just see the Post-it and be like, oh no.
Yeah.
So-
a little alert.
We're gonna sit down, look at the data, and come up with a game plan in terms of macros. We're gonna change them. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Look at that, and figure out what we're gonna do.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so having a look at my compliance this week, if we come over to the days, you'll see here last Tuesday through to yesterday, being Monday the 10th. And if we look at my weight, This weight here at 67.
Started out strong.
Started out really strong. So yeah, my weight was trending down. That was at the tail end of my high day, and then I'm coming down 62, 66.2, 66.3. And then on Sunday we had some guests over, and I am now realizing that I cannot have people in the house doing like grazing platters. Like, it is just I'm not going to say kryptonite because I don't really enjoy that, but it's so difficult to track when you're picking at things. I actually think I do better when we're just going out for a meal. Like, at least it's like a controlled portion, that's it. Yeah, so it seems to be much easier to go out for a meal. So I don't think that I have any problems tracking that kind of thing. It's only when we've been in our own home and entertaining. So that's done. We are not doing that. I'm blanking.
So no housewarming party.
Not with grazing platters. You can bring a BYO food.
Well, no, but I think that's so. This is something I talk about in my new book I'm working on. Shameless plug. But this food is such a part of our culture, and like. I said, well then, because we were having people over, I said, well, we don't have to have food. We can just hang out with people. And it was like I was the spawn of Satan or something.
You can't have people over and not.
Yes, you can. You absolutely can have people over and not have food. No, it's not. It's not rude at all. It's not rude at all.
Okay.
But that's a great example right there. Think about the last time you went to a social event and they didn't have food. Mm-hmm. It does not happen.
We need to change society.
Well, no, I mean, that just shows how much food is part of our culture, and part of every culture. Yeah. And honestly, that's why food is not just, people get so focused on the physiology of weight loss that they miss out on the parts that are really important, which most people don't fail a weight loss diet because they didn't have the right macros or they didn't get their diet breaks just right. They fail because they can't stick to it. So it's one of those things that you have to, like, we're kind of trying to override the psychological, the physiological, and the sociological signals that we've all been told for a long time, and it's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
So, right, so now we know that, and so it's either, if we're having people over, we're cooking meals and people are having a meal.
Yeah, I think we'll have a dinner party. I'll sit people down and serve like a 2-course meal or something. That would be so much easier. Oh, why haven't I thought of this?
So, but yes, grazing platter, that's what's happened the last 2 weeks is Liv's birthday party. There was a lot of food. You've also it seems to be your high days is when you actually really mess up.
Yeah.
There's some people who are like, but it could be correlation versus causation. Yeah, I don't think you're overeating because it's your high day. I think it's more so that
it's just
the environment
you're
putting yourself in. Yeah. So, so maybe that's one of the things we need to consider is, okay, well, maybe having people over and maybe we're better off going out for dinner. Or
I think so. So many people stress out about eating out. That is like the least of my worries. Like, it is when there's temptation, like going out for a meal, it's not tempting to me. Like, I just, wow, great, I've got this really nice meal, I can track it, no problems.
So for some of the people, that's where they tend to overeat.
Yeah, it's so strange. Everyone's so individual and unique.
I'll also talk about that in my book.
So this week I did really well with my protein targets. I didn't really have any crazy high days. So you can see here, I had one on Friday, which was 179, and I just traded that out for a little bit of fat. So normally I would see at least 1 or 2 really high protein days, but I was very consistent this week with protein. Carbs, if we have a look at my compliance, on my low day I was 110, and you can see on my low days I did really well. And then come the weekend, I know that this is not accurate. I just didn't and wasn't able to log because I was trying to play card games, drink, eat, and I just didn't
And
track everything.
that's something we
so-
talked about too, was you have to log it before you eat it.
Yeah, and it just wasn't going to happen, which is why I'm not going to do that anymore. So, yeah, I think if I was to be really honest, even though my compliance over here shows me at 102, which is a very small amount over my calories, I'm pretty confident that I'm probably up around 110. Do you need to yawn?
Nope.
Around 110 this week. So, let's take a quick look.
I feel like I really disguised that well.
No, your smirking was like. So I'm actually not taking my high days this week. We're going to be in Vegas for the Olympia. We're going to be flat out busy anyway.
I think you'll actually do all right because you'll be so busy.
Yeah, exactly. So I would like to pull the reins back in, although my average weight is still down. So last week, if we look, I was at 66.6 as my weekly, 66.8 was my average. This week was 66.6, so I've lost 200 grams. Yeah, I got on the scale this morning and I was like 67.2.
Yeah,
so
realistically, you need to be in the 65s.
yeah, I need to be very low. So, yeah, let's plug in 7 days at 110. Which week am I looking at here? Yeah, that's this week. So 7, get rid of that. I don't want any of these high days. You can go.
It's going to be a rough week. You're going to feel
Yeah.
some lack of energy here.
So you can see my calories are going to be at 1440 for the entire week. 160 protein, 110 for my carbs, and 40 for fats.
The plus side is you make it through this, you've got a diet break the week after.
Yeah.
However, I think that we may just
We need to reduce my diet
and do a 5-day
breaks.
diet
Yeah.
break as opposed to 7 days.
Because I think a 5-day. Oh my god!
Really?
I think a 5-day diet break is still going to attenuate some of those metabolic adaptations, but it's not. It gives me 2 extra days to kind of work hard, and I am behind my target rate of loss. So yeah, it means that I'm going to have to push it.
And I talked about this too, is that I think previously, because you were able to completely control your environment that you were in, you also you've kind of always crash dieted for a show. You have never, even when we worked together a couple years ago, you pretty much kind of futz around with it until the last month, and then you get really serious, but you kind of had to starve yourself to get there. So I think
No, I just had to exercise myself.
you
I've never had to starve myself. Let's be real.
yeah. Well, the energy gap is still the same.
Yeah, I know.
The energy gap is still the same.
A lot of exercise.
And now you don't have the time to be able to do that,
No.
to be able to exercise all day. So it's going to be pretty tough for you. And I know you can do it, but this week is really important. And, I had to have this conversation with a client of mine who's not doing a contest prep. But I actually had one with one of my clients who you know.
Yeah.
She had a little bit of a rough week, and she's a professional bikini competitor. And I said, hey, listen, you've done great, but you really asked me to do this one extra show. You've done quite a few. I suggested we go for a reverse diet, and now you've went off and kind of stuffed it a little bit, and we only have 3 weeks left.
Yeah, she put on 4 pounds in a week.
Yeah, it's time to put your head in. And she really wasn't that bad, but you have to remember, when you choose to do a competition, you are choosing to compete against people, and regardless of, everybody on social media has a perfect life, but everybody has challenges they're having to deal with, regardless of what it is. Some more, some are less, but if you're choosing to compete, you're saying that I'm having to make sacrifices and I'm having to push myself. And, I'm the kind of person, I don't have the background of an eating disorder. So, but for me, I hate the idea of feeling like I left something on the table and could have done better. So I usually don't struggle with adherence that much. I just struggle with feeling like I'm going to die because I'm so tired. So
I wish that was the only problem that I had. It's like the mental is so much more challenging.
yeah. So I think that trying to remember why you're doing something,
Yeah.
right? And because if you don't
It's
have
kind of like, it's kind of like a reverse diet as well. Like so many people say they get nothing out of the reverse diet, and I'm so uncomfortable, and I'm at this awful weight. But like, there's a why. Like you've got to sometimes put those immediate needs and desires aside.
well, this is what you talked about. I've said for me, when I say no to something, I actually feel empowered, right? So I just full disclosure, I never drank in high school. Like we could talk about other things that I didn't do. Like I was a very kind of like disciplined person, and I've always felt empowered by saying no, I'm not doing that. Yeah. If I choose to do something, it's because I really want to do it, not because somebody else peer pressured me into it.
Yeah.
And then you said that you don't feel empowered by saying no, especially to food. That's something that you get a little bit more caught up in the moment, and that feels more important.
I've not really. We talked about this too. I've like not really had to say no to like many things, like in all domains. Like I've always been like a yes person. So
the movie Yes Man,
yeah.
Yes Woman.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, but
that's
I think
a whole other ball game.
Well, but and one more thing. I talk about this in my book. There was a study that came out of success amongst dieters, and they found that people who are very successful with dieting have a low level of what's called recency. Recency is the ability to essentially the same thing as delaying gratification. So you're able to say what you want now is not as important as what you want in the long term. And one of my favorite quotes is, don't sacrifice what you want most for what you want now. So I always use those quotations and kind of to keep me centered. So I know you can do this. Just got to convince yourself of it.
Well, that's all from us this week, guys. Yeah, poor old me, no high days this week, all low days. Yeah, if you are going to be in Vegas for the Olympia, come and see us. We're at booth 650.
Hey, you remember?
That's a first. 650. I may or may not be there. I have a really hard time committing to appointments.
I will be there from the opening of the booth till 11 a.m. and then from 2 p.m. to close each day.
Yes. Who are we next to?
We're close to Metrics and Blackstone Labs.
Okay, can't miss them.
Now, you may get to see Holly if you're lucky. She may be there.
No, I won't be there. I just have anxiety about committing myself to times.
And she feels like nobody ever wants to see her. They just want to see me. So please come out and tell Holly that you wanted to see her more than you wanted to see me, because it'll make her feel good.
And if you have not organised tickets for our seminar, we have our seminar being held on Sunday at the Strip CrossFit.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really great.
No hate, Elgin intensity.
So we've got Paul Ravella and Andres Vargas also speaking with Lane and I. So that's going to be a really fun day.
We're also going to have some awesome stuff at the seminar. At the expo. We can announce it now. I'm going to have hard copies of the complete contest prep guide. So if you've ever wanted a hard copy of the book, you can get it. We're also bringing back the Make America Science Again shirts. And we're going to have a new shirt that you guys can purchase at the Olympia for special pricing on all products. So if you're there, make sure you check out booth 650, the first ever BioLane booth. And we will catch you guys next week.
Boom.